Welcome to FinScale, a podcast created by Solène Niederkorn, shedding light on innovation in finance, banking, and insurance.
All about Adyen. Virginie Melaine-Christensen, Country Manager France for Adyen.
It has something to do with the philosophy of our founder, because there are other companies in the Netherlands, but our founders are really people-oriented. They wanted to create a company that is different, that disrupts the market, and it disrupts the market in all ways. It's not only in the payment industry, but it's also the way we're working.
To discuss this essential payment layer, I needed one of Adyen's long-term collaborators. The choice fell on Virginie, who joined Adyen 6 years ago before its IPO. We learn and laugh a lot with Virginie as we go behind the scenes of this Dutch-based FinTech, which now has a worldwide presence in more than 20 countries and major partnerships with players like eBay. We find out how the scale-up transformed itself into a financial institution with a super agile entrepreneurial culture that allows it to quickly deploy new features and establish fundamental collaboration for its clients. Of course, we also discuss France, where Virginie recently joined as country manager, and how the European giant takes local specificities into account. This is an excellent example of exceptional scaling. Besides the fascinating corporate strategy, Virginie also shares humorous anecdotes, notably about Adyen's listing when she was in Asia. Enjoy the show! Hello, everyone. Hi, Virginie.
Good morning, Solène.
With years of experience in the industry and a wealth of knowledge to share, I'm truly honored to have you join me on the show. Would you mind introducing yourself, please?
Of course, my name is Virginie Melaine-Christensen, and I'm the new country manager for Adyen France.
But what were you doing before Adyen? Because you've worked in retail or something completely different?
Yes, I'm actually a chartered accountant, and I worked for 20 years in London, and my last job in London was for Burberry, where I was financial controller, and then I took on board a new project which was payment related, and this is when I discovered the world of payment and implemented a solution for in-store and e-com for Burberry. And that's when I met Adyen. And after doing that project, I decided that it was a very, very interesting world.
Yes.
And that I would like to know a bit more about it. And that the solution to know a bit more about it was to move to one of the providers with a PSP. And I did. So I left London and I moved to Adyen 6 years ago in Amsterdam. I came with the family, changed the job for a company that not a lot of people knew at the time. So
Really?
People were really looking at me saying, you leaving Burberry for a company named what? And I was just like, yeah, it's a company named Adyen. And I don't regret it at all. It's a very, very beautiful adventure. Started 6 years ago, and now I'm in France as the country manager. So
You're new in that job.
I'm new in that job. Yeah, I started the job the 1st of March.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so as you said, Adyen is not known by everyone. I was discussing with a very good friend of mine who is an entrepreneur, and I said I was so excited to tell him that I was receiving you as a guest on my podcast to talk about Adyen. He said, Adyen, what is it? I said, come on, you don't know Adyen. So maybe that would make sense that we start talking about Adyen. And what is interesting is that Adyen's success can be attributed to many, many different things: the corporate culture, scalability, adaptability to market trends, and technological changes. Maybe we could just start and kick things off by asking, what is Adyen in 1 minute?
Adyen in 1 minute. So Adyen is a financial technology platform and which offer end-to-end payment services to big enterprise, but also to SMBs through partnerships and to platform. We have one unique solution. We build everything ourselves. And we have 27 offices everywhere in the world. And we went from 0 employees to more than 3,000 employees today.
And listed, you're next Amsterdam.
Yes, we are listed in Amsterdam.
When did they start listing Adyen?
3 or 4 years ago.
So what is interesting
I remember, actually, I don't remember the date, but I remember when it happened. Because at that time I was in Hong Kong with a merchant.
Yes.
And we were around the table with the treasurer of that big international merchant, and he opened his iPad and he went like, "Oh, I should have invested in Adyen." And I looked at him and said, "What are you talking about?" Because we were talking about a contract. And he was like, I am seeing the price of your share. You are just listed. And it was a big thing for all of us that we joined Adyen as a non-listed company, that suddenly we were listed. And so he told me, that's the time, when I was in Hong Kong, you just been listed, and you were just, I should have invested. And I'm like, oh yeah, so I celebrated with the merchant when Adyen got listed. But
Excellent.
it was a very, very big step for us. And all of us that started before being listed as a small company that nobody knew, were extremely proud that day. We still are, but very proud.
Yeah, I can imagine. When we discussed last time, you told me that when you joined, correct me if I'm wrong, you were 200 employees.
No, when I met Adyen, it was 200 employees. So when I was still at Burberry looking for payment partners, there were about 300 employees.
Yeah.
When I joined, it was about 500. So in 2017, we were 500 plus employees, and now we are 3,000 plus.
Wow. Cool. So maybe you can tell us about Adyen's growth history. And what's interesting is that you saw it evolving from a pure payment platform as a broader fintech platform. How did it happen?
We are a technology company. We've always been tech people at heart. So it went very naturally, actually, because we are following what our merchants are looking for, the needs of our merchants. And we saw that there was more needs in new features, in more financial products that are not completely payments, but they are still financial related, such as issuing cards, such as bank accounts, microcredit. But all this is actually to make life simple for our merchant and to help them grow. So it's very natural for us, as we have a unique platform and we develop everything ourselves. By listening to the feedback of our merchants and their needs, then we look at, okay, what do they need? That's the problem. With the problem, we're going to find a solution. We're going to build a product for our merchant.
So let's stop a little bit with the understanding and exploring Adyen's relationship with its customers. So you say it's quite central. So how do you incorporate concretely feedback into this continuous improvement process?
So we have the commercial team is bringing back the feedback of the merchants, the voice of the merchant, and they share that voice to the product. And the product looks then at all the demands, because of course we're not going to do everything, but we're going to look at where there is the most demand and what makes sense, what actually is going to fit to our platform and our strategy of serving our merchants in the simplest way and help them grow. So it's kind of a list. You look and then you see it with the market. So now that I'm in charge of France, I'm going to look at the demand for France. But does it make sense also for the region and for the company as a whole? Then you do a prioritization. What does it make the most sense? Where there is the most demand? What is going to bring the most revenue? And what is going to benefit all our merchants?
So you have a sort of holistic approach. So all the requests come from the different markets. So France is an example. France is one market. And then you escalate this at group level. And then it's prioritized and developed depending on the needs and the real return on investment that you can expect from this specific feature that you want to develop. Correct? Okay.
Correct. But we also look at what our payment partners are going to put on the roadmap, because there is the voice of the merchants, but there is also the partners, the payment partners that we are working with. They have their own roadmap, and they're going to come to us and say, okay, we are going to launch that new product, that new features. Does it make sense for your merchants to have it? So we test our merchant, we ask our merchant, do you need? If it makes sense, then we will put it on our platform.
And who are the payment actors and players you're referring to?
For example, the buy now, pay laters, the app are coming, even the card schemes, because card schemes also have new features. So they present their new features, then we look at it and we see the demand from we always go back to the demand of our merchant.
Okay. So when we prepared this episode, this is something very funny you told me about with regard to the corporate culture. And it's really interesting because my feeling is that it really contributed to Adyen's success and rapid growth. Can you describe the way it really works from the inside, and particularly the cold baths you were referring to?
So that's a culture that was when I joined Adyen, so 6 years ago, because now we grow. You were arriving at Adyen, and I was coming from a big corporate with lots of processes and lots of books to read, and suddenly arrive and it's okay, what am I going to do? Can I have the process? What do I need to read? And they looked at me and say, no, find your way. Do it yourself. It's part of our formula, like create your own path. And I was like, what are you talking about? I said, no, go and sit with next to people, ask them what they do, learn by yourself, and we're going to see if you can swim. So that was the core path. We throw you, see if you can swim. So it took me 6 months to learn how to swim, and then you get the culture. And you say, okay, actually, I'm very independent. I can create my own path. I can also influence the way we're going, because we're all micro-entrepreneurs. And if I see that something makes sense, I can voice my idea, and then we're going to talk about it. If the merchant is interested, and it makes sense for the company, for the long term, for the growth of our merchants, we will do it.
And can you illustrate this with example of failures or successes?
Successes, I'm still here.
Yes,
coming from a very corporate environment to a startup and a way of working I didn't know, and being able to have the career path that I have at Adyen, but it's not for everybody. And it's very quick. I mean, people know within 6 months if they're going to fit or not. So it's the individual takes the decision. We have a very good retention of people, because we also have a long process to recruit people. So it's people can be surprised when we do our recruitment, because you're going to go through a lot of interviews, but there are interviews to see if you're going to fit with the culture, it's going to fit with the team, if you're going to fit with the management. Everybody has an interview with the board. The board see every person that join Adyen.
Wow.
So it's a lot of interview, but it's kind of when you finish the last interview, like, oh, I made it.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. But it helps, because when you arrive, you already met people. So you don't know, it's not only one person, you already met different people.
100.
So, yeah. Not 100, but it helps. It helps. It relaxes you.
Do you think that it has something to do with the fact that Adyen is based in the Netherlands?
It has something to do with the philosophy of our founder. Because there are other companies in the Netherlands, but our founders are really people-oriented. Mm-hmm. They wanted to create a company that is different, that disrupts the market, and it disrupts the market in all ways. It's not only in the payment industry, but it's also the way we're working.
Mm-hmm. And can you please elaborate a little bit on the strategies? Because, for me, Adyen is such a crucial player in the payment area. And I've been always amazed to see how it's been growing and developing. It seems so smooth from the outside. So what are the key strategies that the management that you put in place to address all the huge challenges and very competitive environment and landscape in Europe and also broadly in the world?
We invest and recruit talents. And I just described the way that we're recruiting people, but we invest a lot in people. That's how we are growing Adyen, is by having the right talent at the right time and keep them interested. Mm-hmm. If you want to keep engineers and coders, it's not only to work on problems, you also let them work on side projects that they are passionate about, mm-hmm. and they know that they can do that, so they want to continue to work with you and not go to another company. So the people aspect is very, very important. Because we have a unique platform that's been developed internally, we're in control of absolutely everything, therefore we can play with the platform. So we don't have to absorb another culture. When you buy another company, you have to absorb the culture, you have to absorb the system. We don't have that issue because we do everything internally, which makes it also very interesting for everyone. Because every time we have to build something, we do it. So we are very proud. We do it. Somebody else didn't bring it. We built Adyen Bank. We built our products. We are building our expansion.
And how would you explain that you took the example of one product, you have an idea, you bring it at group level, it's been prioritized, and then you decide to develop. How do you scale it rapidly and efficiently, bearing in mind that you have that in also the corporate structure, a global presence. So you said you were mentioning last time we discussed meetups 3 times a year. Is it part of it, or do you have very strong processes in place?
So what I was mentioning is when I was managing the team for the local and alternative payments on a product side, and I was specific to that team to meet up with the country manager and to decide on the roadmap. Again, because we have the unique platform, we are very flexible, we're very agile, and we have a formula. And one of the items of the formula is that we launch fast and iterate. So we keep launching. We launch every week something, and then we check. Okay, reality, we adapt. So we keep doing that.
You're very agile.
Extremely agile. We don't have long cycle. We have short cycle, but that helps us to reiterate the product with the reality all the time.
Okay, interesting, impressive. So you might have some tools inside to follow this. Did you develop your own tools?
Develop everything.
It seems huge. So yes, we have the feeling that Adyen has a huge environment and tech pool of talents. Can you mention a few R&D initiatives that you follow and that you build maybe in the domain of artificial intelligence, for instance, or there are many other aspects that you could mention, not only this one?
So we don't have an R&D department. Mm-hmm. So we have product people, and we then produce our own reports, our own report, such as a retail report or studies with our merchant. We use machine learning a lot, especially for fraud. So for our fraud tool, we're using a machine learning. We are a data-driven company, so all the data that we have access to, we use them in the products, in the reporting, in the tool for fraud, and then it's the people again that use it. But we don't have R&D.
Okay.
That's it.
And last question about the competitive landscape, because you have huge competitors. I'm mentioning Stripe, which is one of the competitors that have very, very low pricing. You don't have that strategy. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't have the feeling that you're really reducing the prices as some of your competitors. So how do you think you maintain your position and such a strong brand within that landscape that is, again, repeated, very competitive?
Okay, so I rather focus on the added value of Adyen.
Yes.
No comment on our
yes.
our competitors. We invest for the long term with our merchants. Mm-hmm. So we focus on the value that we add to our merchants. Pricing is one element, but it's not the only thing that you have in the payment chain. You also have the fraud that you have to control. You also have the added features. We recently launched a feature with Carte Bancaire and Deezer on the real-time account of data for Carte Bancaire, which is something that is beneficial for our merchants, meaning that they're going to have less churn. We look at how we can participate to the RSE policy. So it's not only about pricing, and we don't focus on pricing, we focus on value. Mm-hmm. What actually we are bringing you, how we're going to unlock revenue for you, mm-hmm. how we're going to create new customer journey that are going to benefit you as a company, but also your customer. Mm-hmm. So we have different customer journeys, such as the unified commerce, such as the endless line, such as pure digital, or the platform. On the platform, what do you need? All the financial services, so the embedded finance services that we add. So all this is long term.
Yes. That's the main focus.
That's the main focus. So always long term and value.
And proximity with your merchants.
And proximity with the merchant.
Yeah. So if we would like to have a sort of snapshot of your main products, because you mentioned B2B, B2B2C, online, on-site, etc., could you please mention your high and star products? Because it seems so huge when we arrive on your website.
But that's the thing. We have different products depending on the customer that we're going to serve. So we have the more traditional unified commerce now, because it's more and more that you see retailers going to unified commerce. So we're going to have a product that is adapted to unified commerce with the terminals. We've developed our own terminals. Again, because of the feedback that we received from merchants, they were looking for a small, reliable, light terminal, so we decided to develop it ourselves. So now we have our own Adyen terminals. You can have also all the soft bars that you have everything, and you don't have to go back to the cash desk to avoid the churn between the time that you put things in your basket and the time that you go to the till. You want to be able to recognize a customer, so the customer has been already doing some purchase with you online, and you arrive in the store, you can recognize it because it's using the same card. So that's a whole story around unified commerce, and there is more and more, and we continue to invest in that. Then you have the digital players. The digital players, they're not looking at having some transaction in stores. They're not interested in that, but they're going to more focus on retaining their customers and improving their host rate. And when I say retaining their customers, is that they don't go from one subscription to the other, that they don't leave your site because suddenly your card expired. And that's why we launched the real-time account data with card bancaires, that the customer doesn't have to do anything. We call the bank, we call the schemes, and we retrieve the new details of the card. And it's transparent for the merchant, it's transparent for the customer, so your subscription keep on going. There is no break in it. We also launched the Click to Pay. So Click to Pay, it's a guest checkout where we're going to propose with if your bank enroll into the program with the scheme, you will be proposed your preferred card that you save somewhere else. And you say, okay, and now you can use that card without typing, so it reduces the friction at the checkout. So that's for digital players. And then we have the platform, so that's more for the SMBs, and there they want also to be able to provide payment services to their sub-merchants and more. And I have the example when we talk about what is embedded finance and what are the capital. If you take a restaurateur, arrive in the restaurant, the fridge broke. They need to buy a fridge, otherwise they're not going to be able to cook today. So they have the choice to call their bank and ask for credit, or they're going to go to their cash register partner, which is a platform for us, and say, okay, by Adyen, you know how much actually the cash registers know how much the funds are going to arrive for this restaurateur. So we're going to propose you a microcredit, and this credit is going to be refunded with all the payments that you're going to receive in the days to come.
That's the question I wanted to ask, is what there was a need for Adyen to be a credit institution?
It's the facility, the simplicity. So the restaurateur, in not even a morning, have the money on the bank account, and they can go next door, buy the fridge, and they can
it's
continue.
Great. And this is something that I've been diving recently with an episode on Buy Now, Pay Later B2B, because it's a very specific need in that area. So you have a strong collaboration with different integrators, and you have a huge network of integrators, and not only, but more broadly speaking, partners. Can you please elaborate a little bit on this and explain to us what is the nature of these relationships?
So the nature of the relationship is the integrators are the systems that our merchants are using. So for our merchants to have a payment solution integrated, we need to work with the integrators. It's as easy as that. You are working with Cegid as a cash register. We need to be there that you can take a payment. So you have in a store, you can have a standalone terminal where you don't need any integrators behind, but it means that the person doing the reconciliation on the finance have to do everything manually. Or you have integrated with your cash register, all the informations are flowing between the two systems, so the accountant is happy because you can do an automatic reconciliation.
And the choice of those integrators has been defined by your merchant's needs, actually.
Yes.
And
always the merchant needs.
Going back to the proximity.
Yes.
Okay, so as you said, recently you've been joining France as a country manager for France. Can you please explain to us what is your roadmap, and maybe introducing the team you have in France?
Okay. So in France, we are 75 plus employees in the Paris office. We are more than 350 merchants. We have a great office. We recently been awarded the certification of Great Place to Work.
Wow. We should have recorded there.
Very proud of it. It's a great international diverse team. I'm not new in France. I've been the adventure. I've been 6 years with Adyen, so I've come also quite often to France before. And we have merchants that are local and also international. So we are working with Le Bon Coin, with Etam, with Deezer, with Boulanger, L'Occitane. So completely diverse merchants in France.
Are there local needs? So I'm just thinking of the carte bancaire, carte bleue, which is a local scheme. But except to this one, do you have other identified different needs from other region in France?
Carte bancaire, yes, of course. This is the local scheme, and this is the national scheme. So the merchants are looking to be able to accept that the scheme, and we propose carte bancaire. So it's a big advantage for us. We also look at all the local actors, but it has to make sense. Again, does it make sense for our merchant base? We're not going to add every single payment method that are French because they are French. No, we look at does it make sense for the merchant? What does it going to bring to them? So we're working with international and with local payment methods.
Perfect. You didn't explain to us what's your roadmap. You could define precisely.
The roadmap of France? Or
yes.
The roadmap,
of France. You can also talk about the roadmap in general, but we have already a great picture of Adyen worldwide, but more specifically on France.
On France, we are here to stay.
I hope so.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere. That's the main thing. It's been 10 years, more than 10 years now that we have Adyen France.
Yes.
And we are going to stay, and we are going to continue to grow in France and to serve our local merchants, or based in France merchants, because they are not all local. They can be international players, but based in France. We also going to invest in people. I say it's very important for Adyen. So recruiting new talents. We have an open house in 2 days for recruiting people on our commercial team, and continue to obtain a certification as a great place to work. This kind of
it's important for you.
Oh, very important. Very important. And we going to continue to launch products also locally, such as we did with the click-to-pay and real-time account updater with carte bancaire. That's very local because it's been developed with the national scheme. So it's only for France, but for all the merchants that have business in France. So our international merchants, such as Uber, if they have traffic in France, can also benefit from this feature through us.
That makes sense. And are there specific industries or sectors you want to cover and concentrate more specifically? So you have the Adyen formula. What is this?
So the Adyen formula is the DNA of Adyen. It's actually what you receive as a new employee. Yeah. You are shared, you receive that card, and this is how we work.
So I will not read it. I will share it on my newsletter.
Yeah.
So, but I just read the first. So we build the first sentences. We build to benefit all merchants. We make good choice to build an ethical business and drive sustainable growth for our merchants. And we launch fast and iterate. I love this one.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing this. That was very, very interesting, Virginie. Thank you for coming. And
thank you.
Thank you for choosing FinScale for your first podcast experience. I hope you don't regret it.
No, I don't. It was a fun experience. Thanks.
What kind of book would you recommend to conclude this episode?
The last book I've read is Tout le bleu du ciel. Not business, but it's about dreaming and about getting through life after difficulties.
Wow. Inspiring.
Very beautiful travel. Very, very beautiful travel.
Is it a true story?
No.
Okay.
It's very well written, and it made me travel and wanted actually to take a van and go and visit the Pyrenees.
You did it?
Not yet.
Not yet. It will happen. Thank you, Virginie, and see you soon.
See you soon.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you all for listening and sharing this moment with us. Don't hesitate to contact me on Twitter or LinkedIn to share your comments and reactions. You can also rate this episode on your favorite podcast platform. See you soon.